The proud British apple is more than a lunchbox staple. It is a living record of migration, law, and land use, shaped by Romans, monks, cider makers, scientists, and more recently, supermarkets. The British apple is a story of how orchards evolved into economic fixtures, how wars and markets pressured varieties, and how flavour survived standardisation. Walk a British hedgerow in October and you can easily see centuries of work ripening on a single branch. Start with Rome. Britain had a native crab apple, small and sharp, and the cultivated apple arrived with Roman horticulture after the conquest, when villas in Kent and the Cotswolds laid out planned plots. Grafting was decisive because seedlings vary while a grafted tree repeats itself. After Rome, monasteries preserved the craft. From the 10th century, Benedictine and Cistercian houses kept walled orchards, recorded pruning and storage, and selected budwood from good trees onto seedling stocks. Variety names are largely lost, but rootstock use, winter pruning, training, and fermenting survived and spread. After the Norman conquest, orchards and land law locked together. Manorial estates enclosed orchards near kitchens and brewhouses. Trees became long-lived assets with legal status, sometimes mapped as distinct parcels from the 13th century. The orchard entered the economy as durable capital rather than a scatter of garden trees. By late medieval and Tudor times, two tracks formed. Dessert apples rose in the southeast with Kentish Pippins as prized eating fruit. The West Country selected tannic apples for cider that were poor for eating but excellent for fermenting. Cider moved from local drink to rural staple because it was safer than water and calorific. 17th century pamphlets and tax debates show its scale. Herefordshire Redstreak was praised for a long-keeping strong cider. Writers and nurserymen began to document varieties beyond local fame. The 17th and 18th centuries brought a flood of named varieties and confusion from repeated names. Horticultural societies and nursery catalogues stabilized naming and description. Philip Miller's Gardener's Dictionary fixed cultivation standards. Thames Valley nurseries sold grafted trees by name, and buyers began to get what they ordered. Taste sharpened toward firm flesh, bright acidity, and complex aromatics rather than softer styles common on the continent. This set the stage for two 19th-century anchors. Victorian Britain forged the modern British apple through Cox's Orange Pippin and Bramley's Seedling. Cox's, raised in Buckinghamshire and recognised by mid-century, delivered perfume and complexity that won shows and palates. It is demanding, pushing advances in orchard hygiene and careful thinning to manage scab and canker. Bramley, seeded in Nottinghamshire and commercialised mid-century, defined British cooking with strong acidity, large fruit, and a habit of breaking to a light puree. Vigorous and triploid, it powered bakeries and domestic kitchens. Training systems such as pyramids, cordons, and espaliers allowed dense plantings against warm walls. Fruit shows, manuals, and nursery networks made apple culture both art and industry. The 20th century added disruption and science. War pulled labour away and aged orchards. Dig for Victory promoted fruit, but renewal lagged. East Malling Research, founded in 1913, classified and standardized rootstocks. The dwarfing M9 rootstock enabled early cropping, high density, and efficient harvest. Work with Merton added resistance to woolly apple aphid, and virus indexing improved health. The National Fruit Collection grew into a living gene bank, now holding over 2,000 named apples, keeping provenance and scion wood secure. Names like Ashmead's Kernel, Egremont Russet, and Discovery remain available and verified. Supermarkets reshaped the apple market from the 1970s to 1990s. Buyers demanded perfect appearance, year-round supply, and consistent crunch. Southern Hemisphere imports brought Gala and Braeburn through spring and summer. Cox's shines in autumn, but needs skill and precise storage later. Bramley kept its cooking dominance. British growers replanted at higher densities on dwarfing rootstocks with drip irrigation, fertigation, reflective mulches, and hail and bird protection. Acreage fell while yield per hectare rose. Controlled atmosphere storage lowered oxygen and held temperature to slow respiration, and packhouses adopted modern grading as industry bodies promoted domestic fruit in season. Breeding and planting turned to resilience and market fit. Cox's lineage remained valued for aromatics but was balanced with varieties that deliver colour, crunch and storage. Club varieties under license such as Jazz and Kanzi gained ground alongside British-grown Gala and Braeburn. Disease resistance moved up the agenda with scab-resistant genes in lines trialled under UK conditions. Research institutes promoted integrated pest management with pheromone traps, beneficial insects, and paired backspray regimes aligned to resistant cultivars. Cider surged again in the early 21st century. Major brands expanded, and craft makers revived traditional methods. Specialist cider apples like Dabinet, Yarlington Mill, Michelin, and Harry Masters Jersey returned to planting plans. Mixed hedgerow orchards that support birds, insects, and small mammals proved both productive and ecologically rich, showing that commercial and ecological aims can align. Climate change has shifted timing and risk. Spring bloom now opens earlier than a generation ago, increasing frost exposure. Growers counter with frost fans, over tree sprinklers that protect with the heat of freezing water, and careful site selection to let cold air drain. Warmer summers improve colour and sugar in bicolour apples, but raise sunburn risk. Mild winters can lift pest pressure from woolly apple aphid and other insects. The response blends engineering, agronomy, and ecology. Orchard floors are managed for beneficials, bee hotels support pollinators, nutrition is guided by sap analysis, and nets and films control light and damage. The orchard is a tuned light engine matched to British weather. Consider the core facts. England produces most UK apples. Kent, Herefordshire, Worcestershire, Norfolk, and Suffolk are key. The UK harvest totals several 100,000 tonnes, and imports cover the full calendar. Leading domestic dessert varieties by shelf space are Gala and Braeburn, with Cox's prominent in autumn and club varieties like Jazz and Kanzi present under license. Bramley dominates cooking across retail and catering. The eating season begins in late August with discovery and runs through November. Storage sustains supply into spring using dynamic, controlled atmosphere and non-destructive testing to guard against disorders like browning and scald. There is a countercurrent that protects diversity. Heritage and community orchards have multiplied. County groups search for old trees, take scions and replant lost varieties. DNA fingerprinting sorts duplicates from uniques. Old names return to farm stalls and fairs. Cat's Head, Laxton Superb, Lord Lambourne, Beauty of Bath, and Galloway Pippin are planted again. Traditional orchards are now treated as priority habitats with mistletoe, deadwood for specialist beetles, and early nectar for pollinators. An orchard is not only a field of fruit, it is a layered habitat with rhythms that fit rural life. Law and labels shape what you buy. Geographic indications touch cider and perry. Club variety trademarks set growing rules and quality standards. Country of origin is prominent, and some retailers name the farm and variety. Autumn campaigns urge people to eat homegrown fruit in season and to taste with attention, which helps keep diverse varieties in production. Science continues at the level of roots and leaves. Rootstock choice is the first lever of vigour and precocity. M9 remains a mainstay. M26 offers more anchorage. Newer stocks are trialled for fire blight resistance and replant tolerance. Canopy design uses multi-leader systems to place leaves evenly around fruit. Sensors map canopy and predict yield. Packhouses grade by colour and firmness with optics. Flavour chemistry explains why a good Cox smells like a basket of fruit with a pine note and why Bramley foams in the pan. High malic acid and cell structure drive cooking behaviour, and triploidy helps create vigour and fruit size. Culture keeps taste alive. County shows and apple days in October gather public tastings. A single table displays the range from nutty russet to sharp aromatic Cox and bright sweet Gala. Chefs specify uses with precision. Bramley for sauces and pies. Egremont russet with cheese and salads. Cox for fresh eating and tarts. Grenadier and Newton Wonder for early and late cooking with structure. These choices come from acid, sugar, pectin, and texture shaped by breeders and growers. Today, the British apple world balances consolidation and diversity. There are fewer but larger commercial orchards with high yields and advanced packhouses, and there are pockets of heritage and direct sales. Climate adaptation is urgent. Growers manage frost risk, trial heat-tolerant and colour-reliable strains, and prune for light and air. Consumers favour crisp, sweet, bi-colour fruit, but each autumn a window opens when British aromatics win on taste. Biodiversity schemes support orchard habitats and give public value to private land. Here is the clean hook. The apple in Britain is both a Roman import and a modern technology platform. Grafting laid the foundation. Rootstocks and storage built the factory. Data and canopy design fine-tune the output. Yet the whole system still relies on bees on a dry May morning and on a grower who tastes, thins and trusts the season. Britain grows thousands of named apples but sells a handful at scale. The rest endure because people insist on growing them and others want to eat them. In October, take a bite and pay attention.